Everything you desire is waiting for you to claim it. There's no creating involved, only invention through imagination and building through action. You are at the center of all your desires, dreams, and achievements. Welcome to Designing Your Life Today, the podcast that's all about your success, achieving your goals, building wealth through your business, and building your most passionate, powerful, magnificent life. Discover ways to use your purpose to connect you to serving others and living your dreams. I am Pat Council, and I know you are built by design to win. And it all begins with knowing how to tap into your success energy. Let's get on the path of discovery, decisive action, development, and unwavering dedication to your life's calling. It's time to embark on a transformative journey where your deepest passions become your most rewarding achievements. Embrace your power to shape your destiny, because this is your moment to do life with power. Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life Today, we're going to talk about keys to activating personal change for results. In order for you to achieve your goals, some change is often involved. Or I should say, you must change so that you can evolve to get to where it is you desire to be. So every goal, life and business that you set, it's actually personal to you, and it's personal to your purpose, your calling. So with that being said, we're going to talk about some keys that you can use to activate the parts of you that you need to activate so that you can change personally and start to get the results. Now, there's an order to getting the results you desire. And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share 5 steps that will activate your power for personal change. And the 6th step, which is the bonus step, is what will bring you what you desire. Before I start sharing the steps with you, I just want to remind you that we have our Summer Success Series coming up, and it starts July 20th officially. This is 6 weeks of keys to building momentum and helping you to recognize the obstacles, overcome those obstacles. You're going to be empowered, and you're going to accelerate your goal achievement, as well as strengthen your identity along the way. I think we're going to have a lot of fun because it is summertime. And while entrepreneurs work on their goals and work on their business almost year round, the object of the game here is to position yourself. So first of all, you can have some fun. Secondly, you can take a break. And third, so you can learn and grow while you're taking the break and you are having a little bit of fun. So we're going to share some really great information. And I think for me, what makes it easier for me to have fun is when I have clarity, and when all of the obstacles that have been in my way, they may not have been moved, but I have clarity on how to move them and what I need to do and the role I need to play. So you can register. It's absolutely free. Just go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series. Get your name on the list, because we have a bonus week that starts July 13th. And it's kind of the precursor to the Summer Success Series. And we're going to share some really great downloads that you can use to take a look at where you are, where you're headed, and we're going to give you an amazing planning sheet and a lot of other great resources. So get signed up now. Go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series. Okay, so let's get back to keys to activating personal change for results. So let's jump right into this. I talk a lot about purpose, and it's really important that people understand the necessity of discovering their purpose. That's the first thing. So that is the first key. Take the time to discover your purpose. Now, if you have no idea what that is, and I find it hard to believe that most people don't know what their purpose is. Now, they may not want to do the work. They may not want to acknowledge it because they know that it requires work, or they feel like if they acknowledge it, they have to do the work. And if they fail, then they don't feel so good about that. But here's the thing about failure. I call failure kind of an illusion, because failure is like that path that you take where you're just learning a bunch of lessons that's going to put you on the right path so you can succeed. And so failure is not final until you quit, until you make it final, until you stop reaching to achieve the goals that you desire. There's no rule that says that you have to achieve those goals overnight. As a matter of fact, a lot of times we have to unlearn things that we've learned along the way. So the first key to activating personal change for results is take the time to discover your purpose. The beautiful part about discovering your purpose is when you discover your purpose, all of a sudden you start to see a clearer path and the possibility of achieving some amazing successes in your life. Now, when I talk about successes, I'm not just talking about material gain. And while material gain is great, because you need to earn as much as you can possibly earn in this day and time. Why? Not just so you can take care of yourself, but so you can take care of your family, and so that you can help perhaps others that, get on the path to serving their purpose. Of course, it's your call as to who you decide to help, but at least you will have what you need so that you can help them. Okay, so the first key is discover your purpose. So let's go to the second one. The second key to activating personal change for results is, once you discover your purpose, you want to set the goals that are aligned with that purpose. Often we set goals to get a car, to get a house, to get more money, and there's nothing wrong with these things. But understand, these are the material things or the material rewards that come after you start to achieve goals within your purpose. I've met people who have set their sights on getting a new car, and there's nothing wrong with that, or a bigger house and all of these things, only to discover that these were empty victories for them. But when you start to set goals that align with your purpose, you start to achieve those goals, you're going to find that the money that you need and the ideas that you need in order to get the car, get the house, get the material things, and have that material gain, you're going to find that that comes a lot easier, and it's more rewarding. Why? Because, as I said, the car, the house, and all of these things, these are your rewards for aligning with your purpose and actually following through on those purposes. Think about some of the wealthiest people that you know in our world today, and they probably have a lavish lifestyle, or I should say they are living the lifestyle that they desire to live, because apparently Warren Buffett, who's a multi-billionaire, apparently he lives in the same house that he did before he became a multi-billionaire, or even I think a millionaire. But at the end of the day, he has the funds to buy what he wants to buy and do what he wants to do and help whomever he decides that he wants to help. So he stepped into a purpose, and we've learned a lot. Those people who invest their money in the stock market, they've learned a lot from Warren Buffett. So he's actually helped a lot of other people. And as a result, he can get whatever he wants. He can buy almost anything that he wants. So think about your goal achievement in terms of purpose, and then set the goals that align with that purpose, and make the car and the house, make those the rewards as a result of accomplishing those purposes. So, or accomplishing that purpose or purposes. It could be both. So let's move on to number 3. So first, let's go back over. We've got number 1, discover the purpose. Number 2, set the goal, align with the purpose. And number 3, be aware of what interferes with the energy and consistent successful performance. A lot of times people think just because they have this strong desire to achieve a goal, or they discover what their purpose is and they go, you know what, this is what I'm called to do. And I absolutely would love to do this, or I love doing this, or this is what would make me happy and make me feel fulfilled. So just because you're excited about all of that, and you're supposed to be excited because now you're aligning with who you were called to be. But just because you fall in alignment with that, that does not mean that there won't be people or things that will interfere with your energy and your consistent, successful performance. Now, here's the sad but not so sad part. The sad part is sometimes the person who interferes with your energy and consistent, successful performance is you. And I say it's sad but not so sad. It's sad because it doesn't have to be. It's not so sad because you have the ability to overcome it, because you've aligned with your purpose, and it should activate a kind of energy in you that excites you so much to the point that you are willing to get the help that you need. You're willing to learn what you need to learn. You're willing to discover how to do what it is you need to do in order to follow through on this amazing purpose. So it's worth it to be aware of what interferes with the energy and the consistent, successful performances. So I would suggest that you write them down. And if you say, well, I know there's something, I just don't know what it is. In order for you to overcome something, or to get beyond something, or to even activate what you need what you need in order to make a personal change, in order for you to do that, then you must become aware of what's stopping you. And a lot of times it's not very difficult, but I think when people are writing down what stops them, they kind of stop on a more surface level. And I used to do that a lot until I learned something different. For example, if someone's procrastinating, they go, well, I procrastinate, so that's what's stopping me. Or, I goof off, that's what's stopping me. Or whatever the thing is, that I spend too much time helping other people as opposed to helping myself. In other words, helping other people who aren't even interested in growing, as opposed to helping myself who is interested in growing, or whatever. So here's the thing. Those are surface level. You have to go deeper. If you procrastinate, then you want to discover, why are you procrastinating? What is causing that? What makes you stop yourself from winning? Usually it starts with your identity. And we're not going to talk that much about identity today, but we are going to talk about it more in the Summer Success series. So make sure you go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series and register and get on the list. And we will start to send you some great information around July 13th. So it is important that you go deeper and discover how to go deeper when it comes to you recognizing what is interfering with your energy. And this is amazing, you guys. The amazing part about this is when you start to go deeper and you really discover what's stopping you. Sometimes it's low deserve level. Sometimes it's ego. And so what caused the low deserve level? That would be, I would think, kind of surface level. But if you go deeper, what causes that? Well, it could be upbringing. It could be that you grew up in an environment where you constantly heard, well, rich people are bad, or rich people are crooked, or, you don't need to have all that stuff. How much stuff do you really need? Or people are so greedy. There is nothing wrong with you having the things that you desire, because the reality of it is every good thing that's been put on this earth is here for you to use, okay, to either enjoy or for you to use so that you can benefit someone else. So you have to go deeper and figure out what that is. As I said, the things that you enjoy, sometimes people deny themselves those things because they see it as greedy. But from a biblical standpoint, the Bible tells us that God richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. And that's what it's about. It's not about being greedy. It is about you getting the things that you desire. I mean, imagine thinking about, let's say, a nicer car, or thinking, if you're female, about getting a designer purse. While I'm not necessarily into designer purses, but I am into quality work. And I am into buying things that will last and not settling for cheap knockoffs. So the point that I'm making is I enjoy things that last. So how do you look at the things that you desire in your life? So go deeper. One other thing I want to mention before we move on, when we talk about deserve level, I think about some of the great things that you can actually possess and actually enjoy those things. Again, back to the Bible. In Ecclesiastes in the Bible, it does remind us that whenever God gives you wealth, because the Bible does say that it is God who gives you the power to get wealth. Now, don't confuse wealth with the people who are actually being greedy and doing things that are illegal just to grab money. That's not necessarily wealth, but we're not going to get too deeply into that today either. However, I want to finish this thought, and then we're going to move on to the next key. As I said in Ecclesiastes, it talks about the fact that whenever God gives a person wealth and possessions, he also gives them the ability to enjoy those things. And why? Because these are direct gifts from God. See, when you follow through on your purpose and you do it, you are actually operating in the name of obedience. And when you're operating with obedience, that kind of action, there's going to be rewards that comes with that. Okay. And the rewards will be something that won't hurt anybody. If somebody buys more than one car, it's not up to someone to say that they only deserve to have one car. As long as that person, they should take the money and feed other people. Well, the Bible says if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. And I'm not saying we shouldn't help other people, but I'm thinking if you're going to help someone, help them go from one level to the next, but don't feed them forever. Okay, so I think you guys get the picture in terms of identifying what could interfere with your energy. So take the time to write that down, which, by the way, a lot of the information I've been sharing about changing last week and this week before we go into the next month, this is kind of like a start of our Summer Success series, where you can actually start thinking about how you want to end the year, the things that you want to accomplish. You can start paying attention to what's in you that's holding you back, and make the commitment that you're not going to let anything hold you back. You're going to learn what you need to learn. All right. So we've talked about discover your purpose. We've talked about set your goals that align with the purpose. And we talked about be aware of what interferes with the energy and the consistent, successful performance. Now let's go to the next one. And this one, I think, is extremely important. It's solve for X. And X would be any of the issues that's interfering with your energy and consistent, successful performance. Now, in number 3, I said be aware. Okay, but number 4 says solve it. What is it going to take for you to get beyond what is stopping you? What is it going to take for you? What do you have to eliminate? Who do you have to stay away from? Who do you have to stop listening to? Sometimes we continue to listen to our family members because we think that because we have the same DNA, that we have to listen to their put downs. We have to listen to their negativity. We have to listen to them tell us that this is where we belong and we shouldn't think too big and we shouldn't want too much. And they give us this whole things, all the things that we shouldn't do. So, but the object of the game here is, you know what? You can love a person without taking their suggestions to heart. And the best way to minimize those kinds of suggestions, if you're going to solve for X, if they're the X, then the best way to solve that is not to share your amazing goals that you're excited about. Nothing knocks the excitement out of you faster than someone that you care about or love or trust telling you it's a waste of your time, or it's not possible, or no one else has ever done it. What makes you think you can? And these kind of things. And I've met people who've shared these stories. Well, my mom said, or my brother said, or my sister said, and I've met people like that. And I can tell when they're sharing the stories that it really kind of hurt their feelings. So that's not the only X that you have to solve for, but pay attention to whatever's interfering. Once you've written it down, next thing you want to do, as I said, is write your solutions. That's your X factor. In other words, the X factor is the thing that you must solve so that you can, in fact, activate the personal changes. So you can't change something if you're not willing to admit it, if you're not willing to even just take the time to become aware of it. Or if you say, well, you know what, I can't see what it is, you have to be willing to connect with someone who is a big thinker or who believes in terms of results and possibilities, and perhaps they can see something that you can't see. And I would say to connect with someone who has a track record. In other words, they've achieved in their own right, and they know how awesome it feels to be able to achieve certain goals. I can tell you, whenever I want to achieve a goal, if I'm having a problem with that goal and I can't figure out what it is, I go to someone who can give me some insight. And usually I might not like what they're saying, but I don't have to like it. I only have to have enough self-respect and enough discipline to say, you know what? My ego doesn't like hearing this, but I recognize it's the truth. So I'm going to make that shift. I'm going to make that change. That's why in Proverbs, it tells us to seek wise counsel. And so when you seek wise counsel, and it has to be wise, not someone who's just telling you everything that's wrong with you so they can make you feel badly. I think that if someone's going to point out what you need to solve or what you need to deal with, it might not sound pleasant, but if they have your best interest at heart, what they're also going to do is they're going to give you some solutions as to how you can make it better. And they're going to listen to how you're feeling. And let me say this, here's a caveat. When someone's giving you those suggestions, they've been there, done that. It doesn't mean that we're all the same. It doesn't mean that we think the same, but you have to recognize that they're sharing this with you because they believe in your ability to win. Don't sit back and make excuses as to why you've not done something. That's your ego talking. And I can tell you, it's very difficult because we know when you step into your purpose, you know what your calling is. And there's a huge part of you that knows how to make this happen. But there's that part of you, that solve for X part, that X factor, that you have to solve that part so that you can really bulldoze forward with some amazing energy, that power energy. So it's hard to be quiet because in your head, you're thinking, man, especially when they say it, sometimes you go, I know that, I know it. And you start, well, the reason I didn't do it, it's not about why you didn't do it. Don't think that they're putting you down, because if they're taking their time to share something with you that's going to help you grow, then stop talking. And you know what? In my head, whenever I'm growing to the next level, I always seek someone out who's far above where I've been and where I want to go. And they're telling me things. And in my head, I'm thinking, I know that. I know. So, but in my head, I'm telling myself, be quiet. Keep your mouth shut. Listen, listen, listen. And so I listen. And then I map out a plan to solve for X. Because your ego is protecting you because it thinks someone's trying to hurt you. No, what they're doing is causing you to stretch. And sometimes stretching does not feel that great. So that's the next key to activate. Solve for X. And X would include solving those issues that interfere with your energy, your consistent, successful performance. One more thing I want to say before I go to 5 is when we talk about what interferes with your energy and consistent, successful performance, as I said before, it may be difficult to look at the people in your lives, but understand this: you cannot constantly surround yourself with people that don't want to win and think that you're going to win and go, well, I've been friends with them forever. We've been friends for 20 years. Okay. And if 20 years later, they're the same and they're not working on growing, that doesn't mean that you have to say, well, they're not good enough to be in my circle or they're not good enough to be my friend. What it means is there are only certain things that you can share with them and there are only certain things that you can do with them. That's what that means. That means that when you start to share your big ideas and your big thoughts, because that person has been unwilling to stretch themselves, believe me, they're going to try and talk you into staying the same. Well, why do you want to do that? And they'll find something, a reason to try and make you feel as though you're not capable. So you have to be very careful. Make sure you surround yourself with people that will cheer you on, but people that will also give you some very good feedback that's going to help help you grow and not just discover your purpose, because you've already done that, but they're going to give you information that's going to help you follow through on the goals that you set that align with that purpose. All right. So number 5, and this one is a given. I say it all the time. Take action. Once you've discovered your purpose, number 1. Number 2, once you've set the goal aligned with your purpose. Number 3, once you're now aware of what interferes with your energy and your consistent, successful performance. And number 4, once you've solved for those X's, the things that have interfered, that are interfering with your energy, that are interfering with your performance, once you solve those things, there's nothing to stand in your way. You've got to move. Make yourself move. Get going. And how do you make yourself move? Because people always say, oh, take action. And in your mind, you have every intention of taking action and making something happen and getting to where it is you need to be. But here's the thing. The thing is, when it comes to taking action, how do you do that? You do that by pumping yourself up. You got to go into your head. You got to see yourself achieving the goal. You got to see yourself following through. You got to see the end game. You got to see yourself crossing the finish line where this discovered purpose is now a reality, where it's tangible and you're getting the rewards from that. This is where the car, the house, and all the big things come in and all the great things that people want to do. So taking action and really positioning yourself to do that is really about what's going on in your mind. And of course, that is attached to your identity. I've heard people say when it's time for them to take action, they say, I've never done this before. This is so scary. Listen, it doesn't mean that it's not scary. Doesn't mean that it might not even be a little bit stressful. Does not even mean that you won't struggle. Okay, there are 3 S's: struggle, scary, successful. All right, successful doesn't kind of match, but let's move on. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to have these challenges. But what it means is that because you adopted an identity that says, this is who I am, and you see the end and you see all of the great things that are going to come, you get beyond the obstacle of being afraid. You get beyond the obstacle of just seeing yourself struggle. Okay. You are willing to go through the struggle. It's kind of like, I don't know, practicing when it comes to building muscles. If you were lifting weights or something like that, and those muscles aren't developed yet. Yeah, you're going to struggle initially, and your muscles are going to be a little sore. And so you might be a little bit afraid, like, oh man, am I pulling a muscle? Because they're so sore. But you know what? You're going to go back and you're going to do it again and again, and you're going to find out you're going to be so much stronger because you're thinking about the end result. So think about this, you guys. These are the keys. And I said I might give you a bonus. So here's the bonus. Once you've done all 5, you've activated these. Now you are making the personal changes that will bring you number 6, results. You're going to get results. This will bring you the things that you desire. Everybody keeps looking to, not everybody, but a lot of people keep thinking, oh, the government this, the government that. They waste their time bashing the president. They waste their time bashing other politicians. Listen, these politicians are getting richer. And you guys know I got to be a little political sometimes. They're getting richer and richer. Some of them go in poor, and I'm thinking of someone in my head that I knew personally, and I thought, wow, how did he get elected? But he did get elected. But the point is, went in jobless, got a job because he got elected, and came out wealthy. Okay, because he didn't get reelected. I'm not going to call his name, of course. But the point that I'm making is, while you're worried about them and you're bashing them and you're focused on them, that doesn't mean you shouldn't care about society. Doesn't mean you shouldn't care about the country. Okay, but what it does mean is do your part. Okay, do your part, bring your best to the table, because at the end of the day, while they're taking their limousines home and they are getting their fancy jets and all of that, and people are being jealous of them, you could get the same thing if it's a part of, let's say, the rewards that comes with your calling, with your purpose. But usually we don't desire things that our purpose can't bring us. Okay, but understand this. Put your attention on results. You're going to get results, and with results comes great rewards. So when you activate the changes, these are the keys to activating personal change for results. And this doesn't take a long time for you to do. So take the time to go through what I've suggested here. Discover your purpose, set the goals that align with the purpose, be aware of what interferes with the energy and consistent successful performance. And number 4 was solve for X, and that is solving the issues that of what interferes with energy and consistent successful performance. And number 5, of course, is take action. And the bonus number 6 was get results and rewards. And that's how it works. Now, I'm making it sound very simple, but I want you guys to know, while it doesn't take you a long time to put this in writing, but it takes some time for you to manifest it, okay, to make it tangible, because you have to do the work and you have to be willing to make certain changes. You cannot go to the next level and stay the same. You have to allow yourself to evolve. And if you want to understand more about evolving, then listen to my podcast episode from yesterday, where I talked about the power of evolution over change. And you know what? This is going to help you actually, it's going to make changing a lot easier, because you're going to recognize that you already have what you need to succeed. You already have in you that ability to lay a very strong foundation that's going to allow you to attract opportunities, bring people into your life, connect with the right people, get the right information, all of the above. So I'm going to put that episode in the show notes, and you guys can just click on the link if you missed it yesterday. And before we wrap up, I just want to remind you once again to go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series and register. It's free. Get your name on the list. And we're going to start sending you out information later in July. It starts July 20th, but we have our bonus week where we're going to send you some really great resources that starts July 13th. And that's kind of for the early bird. So some of those resources are going to be some of the resources we're going to share during that week will be resources that we will not share come July 20th, because I'm giving some extra things. So that's all I have for you guys today. So go through the keys and start activating your personal change so that you can get the results and receive the rewards that you know you desire. In the meantime, I want you to do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win.